Over the next 15 minutes, you are going to learn about how the BC public school system is updating its methods of instruction to accommodate our changing world. A team of educators from School District 79 take us traveling through their experiences as part of land-based learning. And Superintendent Rod Allen addresses why education needs to change so that our youth have relevant skills when entering the workforce.
When we talked to students in our district, secondary students, and asked them how well a job they think we're doing in preparing them for the world they anticipate coming, interestingly enough, they all told us from all the different schools basically the same thing. They said, it would be great if what we're learning was more real, was more grounded in their terms reality and out in the real world. Less simulation, more real life application. Is it things that could we be learning of math? Well, we're learning how to do our taxes and learning how to budget properly and learn those kinds of things. And so they want a sense that what they're doing matters and will matter to them, and it's important to them. And that's that hook into personalized learning. And I think where that really connects with theory is that we know that learning happens when you apply something. So it sort of no longer matters what you know, it matters what you can do with what you know.
Today we find ourselves at the Chase Woods Conservation Area. It's on the south slope of Mount Suhalem, and we're doing some ecological restoration here for the Nature Conservancy of Canada.
Well, I guess it all started back in 2015 in the fall. Denise and I went to a workshop on clam gardens and started into a conversation about how we could do things different in education, and I guess we kind of hatched something that looked like this land-based program.
What impact have you seen this program have on the learners you're working with?
Well, I think the great thing about this program is that kids actually get to be outside doing things and learning about the natural environment. It's one thing to teach a program about biology within sort of concrete walls of a classroom and have kids try to develop an appreciation for the outdoors when it's all around us, and really what we should be doing is just getting out and seeing what really happens. You know, I can talk about Douglas fir trees in a classroom and use the sort of Latin names for them and, you know, call them Pseudotsuga menziesii, or we can get out here and have kids actually experience the outdoors and see what a Douglas fir tree looks like. Talk about stories about Douglas fir and how it's used and the type of ecosystem it likes to grow in. And I think the learning there is just so much more valuable, usable, and probably transferable to later life. I think kids that would have been in a biology class of mine in the past probably learned some fancy words about Douglas fir trees, but probably couldn't find one in the forest.
There were 30 students in the class. About 17 of them were of Aboriginal ancestry. Now, I could speak to that first because I think the impact for some of those students was pretty profound. So one of the boys, Trey, has said multiple times that I've been in school for 12 years, and this is the first time I've ever had myself, my language, and my culture reflected in my learning. And so that's been a real critical piece for him. And he also said, I used to wander halls a lot and maybe not had the best attendance, but I am now in class every day, all day, because a large part of my day every day is me just learning about my language, culture, and history.
At first, I was very hesitant to going into the class. I wanted to switch out, but I had friends in this class who motivated me to stay in and actually try it out. You know, I was like a regular student, I didn't want to go in. But after a good week of it, I loved it. You know, I really liked the environment, I liked the teachers, I liked the students around me. Everyone became your friend, and it was very supportive for me.
You and I have talked before about this, that what was the connection between your First Nations culture and land-based?
Land-based gave me a chance to connect with myself and find myself spiritually. With land-based, they gave me a chance to actually achieve that. You know, they gave me an independent study where I got to study the history of Cowichan, which was very, very helpful for me to find who I was.
And I guess the relationship building is really very different too. I mean, I know these kids quite well. You know, we've gotten dirty and muddy and experienced cold, rainy and snowy days together. And I think we have a really good rapport.
So we all had like a friendship, even like the teachers, and I thought it was a lot easier to learn because I knew the teachers more and had a bond with them.
It was like we were all one big happy family, and it was very good to be in one class with those guys every single day. It's like I know more about them than I would with my other classmates.
I noticed the kids learning basically working skills, how to work together as a group, how to be a little bit more like a family.
Being in this program and being with them all day long, we got really comfortable with each other. And Mr. Lordson, he was really nice. Because I'm in 4-H, I could talk to him about agriculture and everything like that. And it was like a friend instead of a teacher, you know, something like that. And then Miss McDool, she was really nice. She's someone that I can like see myself going to if I have any problems, you know, and everything like that. Now that we're so comfortable with each other.
We know that we have excellent teachers and educators in our province. That's why we have the international ranking that we have. Our young people are so well served by the educators that we have. But again, the types of things, the structure of our schools haven't changed in 150 years. We know that routine cognitive tasks, the kinds of things that our schools do a lot of, traditionally around the world, are the things that are easiest to digitize and move offshore. So how do we adequately prepare our kids for a world where those aren't the kinds of skill sets that they need? How do we get to a place of deeper understanding? How do we help our kids learn the things that really matter and will prepare them for a world that we can't predict, that doesn't exist yet? The pace of change is so quickly. We know we've moved from classrooms that were places where students were given knowledge by teachers. We know now that that's shifting to classrooms where students and teachers are all learners together and creating new knowledge and new understandings. And that's quite a significant shift. We can't ignore the impact that technology's had. So many people have access to smartphones and ubiquitous technology and access that has to be taken into account as we consider the kinds of worlds our kids are going into and the kinds of skills they need to be successful in those worlds.
Well, from where I stand, my son Joey has 2 learning disabilities which affect just a traditional classroom-based learning. So when this land-based learning opportunity came up, I looked into it and then I jumped for it because with these 2 disabilities, we found that it put Joey on the same level as all the other kids. He didn't have disabilities in the land-based learning. He was at the same level, he was learning at his speed, his way, and he was just so enthusiastic. He came home every day just happy and talking and just running a mile a minute about what he learned at school today, and this is a first. So as a parent, this was fantastic to see. It was a very nice experience to finally see Joey not struggling, just to be learning and loving it.
What kind of places did you go?
Yeah, we've been all over. So a lot of our work was local, so we've been here as the Nature Conservancy of Canada site, Chase Woods, but we've also been at the Cowichan Garry Oak Preserve. We've been at Somenos Marsh, we've been to Averill Creek and Bings Creek, both local fish-bearing streams. We've done some restoration work on those. We've been to the Cowichan River, which is really important to our valley. We've been to a few different fish hatcheries. We've been to the First Nations fish hatchery down Boys Road. And we've also had kids doing work experience at the Trout Hatchery, which is a British Columbia government facility. We've been at Stoltz Pool, which is a provincial park, Eves Park, and a local community park. We've worked with community groups, the Cowichan Green community, working on composting and vegetable gardening, we've done canning workshops, we've made soup and desserts for community meals. We worked with the Jubilee Gardens, helped some seniors weed their beds at the end of the year, and in turn they told us about seed saving and just some gardening basics. We've done work with pollinators, whether they're bees or flies or even in some cases birds, but we've gone sort of further afield. We've been to the Provincial Museum, we've been to the Pacific Forestry Center, we've also gone to, our big trip this year was to Tofino. The kids love Tofino, they all like to talk about Tofino because part of our PE program, of course being physically active, the kids got to go surfing, take surf lessons. We went to the Opitsit First Nation on Mears Island, had a wonderful bit of storytelling, some First Nations art displays. So we've been all over the place and done all sorts of great, exciting things.
I learned more stuff than I would in any other class. My biology, I would learn more than I would in an actual classroom because you get to go outside and experience it in person. You get to talk to people who do well, like who know more stuff than what we're learning.
Do you think that there's a difference between learning on the field trip than learning, from reading and stuff that you would normally do?
Yeah, because it's more hands-on. I thought it was a lot easier. I think it's easier for me to learn hands-on rather than just reading boring textbooks, because I just fall asleep pretty much reading them.
In normal classes, I get really fidgety and I can't really stay still. And then like halfway through the day, I just completely lose focus. And then in the land-based program, I was staying focused all day long because we were switching things up. We were going outside and everything. It was just a really nice way to learn, and I was staying focused. I was excited to come to school, I talked about it nonstop to my parents.
Even the other students said that they felt something different than what you feel just reading about it. There's a different connection you have when you actually go out and do it than read about it. I canoe paddle all summer long, and being able to do it with the students in my class, they get to see a different side of me that no one else gets to see.
So more than ever, our young people have to be creative, critical thinkers. They have to understand how to get along with others from mixed cultural backgrounds, because we live in a world that's so exciting and diverse that we need our kids to really have and understand those skills. You don't have to look too far to recognize the needs when students are engaging in social media to be critical. So when BC's new curriculum was being considered and being drafted, we reached out to people across the province, from the business community, from the world of work, from post-secondary, and asked them what are the skills young people need today to be successful in your area. And interestingly enough, they said the same thing. They all said, the skills of our students are quite high. It's the ability to collaborate, the ability to think critically, the ability to create collectively, to create new knowledge and new information, to have grit, to be able to tackle a problem and stick with it until they get to the end of the problem. We know that young people will go into a variety of careers, unlike my old generation, where we sort of found a career and stuck with it. Our young people will be going through 3, 4, 5, up to 7 different careers. So they need to be able to teach themselves. So what's, again, crucial with this idea of the new curriculum is what it enables. The curriculum doesn't describe exactly what has to happen in classrooms. That's left to our teachers and our excellent teachers who make quality professional decisions based on the learning of the kids in front of them at the time. But it enables a great deal more flexibility, it enables a great deal more creativity on the part of both teachers and students, and fosters different kinds of settings, allowing students to personalize and go deeper. So we're seeing in our schools now, teachers increasingly taking those enabling opportunities and with students designing different learning environments like the land-based program, like the community classroom, like inquiry. And we're seeing that happening more and more where students and teachers and parents are working together, rethinking their relationship between and amongst themselves to ensure that young people have the best education possible to prepare them for the future.
This could be the start of something beautiful.